So we've now added federal FMCSA fields to ProsperFleet. Before we get into looking at the federal data in more detail, let's look at real quick, how do you know which of these three choices is best for you, depending on the types of fleets you're looking for? So with the federal data, you would choose this if you sell to federally regulated trucking fleets, if you need the FMCSA data fields, and we'll look at some of those in a second, if you need mostly medium and heavy duty trucking data. It's important to know that FMCSA does not have much of the light duty vehicle data. National and local, you may already be familiar with if you've been using ProsperFleet, and these remain the same. And the differences here, you can look at these icons as one indication. With national data, this includes headquarters, locations, and you would choose national data if you work with fleets with light, medium, or heavy duty vehicles, or all vehicles, and you only need the headquarters locations. With local data, same thing as national, you would choose local data if you work with fleets with light, medium, or heavy duty vehicles, or if you work with all vehicles. And most importantly, if you sell in a smaller geographic area, like a town, a city, a metro area, or even within a state, or if you have mobile services, anything that restricts you to a smaller geographic area for how you sell. The local data will give you more data because ProsperFleet will search all of a company's locations with fleets. So you'll be searching both the headquarters and all locations. So in general, the difference between national, local, and federal is national and local has the extensive number of light duty fleets that you won't find in the federal data, mostly because those fleets, those vehicles are generally not federally regulated, and national and local have the potential to look at local data. And the reasons for these differences are because these are just very different sources of fleet data with different purposes. So let's now look at the federal data. And if you've used FMCSA data already, you'll see familiar filters here. We have power units, and you can choose the range of power units that you want to search for in a company. I'll just set a minimum of 50 power units for now, and if you want a maximum, you can type a number in here or just leave it blank if you don't want any maximum. By default, ProsperFleet chooses all power units, but for example, if you only want tractors and trucks that are owned and not leased, just check these boxes for that. You can use this in any combination that you want. If you only want to look at tractors but not trucks, you can choose that as well. So we'll check that we want owned vehicles. And the important thing to know here is that what you'll get, some of the companies that show may have leased vehicles, but because we typed a minimum of 50 and we selected owned, they will also have a minimum of 50 owned tractors or trucks. If trailers are important to you, you can also, same thing, select the numbers of trailers by typing in a minimum and a maximum. And same thing with drivers. You can select from among CDL and interstate drivers. The next selection is the classification and cargo carried. In here you'll recognize the for hire and private fleet selections and government selections as well. We'll select for hire. And you can select as many cargo carried, as many or as few as you want. By default, all of the cargo carried fields are selected. But if you select anything here, for example, you want to look at beverages and refrigerated fleets, you can choose beverages and it will filter only for fleets that are for hire and carry beverages. Under geography, this works the same as the national and local that you've already been using in ProsperFleet. By default, it searches the entire country, and you can select all the way down to a radius around a zip code. And then with contacts, these are all the same contacts that you've been able to select from in ProsperFleet. And the important thing to know is mostly FMCSA data comes from the federal government with only 1 or 2 contacts, and we have all the numbers of contacts that we have for the national and local data. So we've also applied those contacts here to the federal data. Now you can look at any of these records in more detail by clicking a row, and then you can, if you have not yet downloaded the record, it will be masked. Let's look at one that has been downloaded already. So here's an example. After you use a credit to download, this is what you'll see. More information within the app, and then all of these fields are also exported in the CSV file. And in addition to searching by company name in federal, you can also search by DOT number or MC number if you have those. And then once you've selected the records that you want to download or save, you can save records to segments, which are basically lists. This does not use any credits. You can build lists and come back and review them later, or you can also share these with coworkers who are also using ProsperFleet. You can download to CSV. And then if you've already exported some of these companies and you don't want to keep exporting them again, you can click Net New Only, and that will give you only the companies that are new to you. So I hope this gives you a good idea of what's available with the federal data.